Hello and welcome to another episode of my Aspie marriage. I was going to make this video further down the track, however the question was asked and so I didn't want to have to wait that long to give an answer. There's a video online where there's an Aspie man talking about the improvements that he's made. I will try and link the video if I can find it. And he's sitting there talking about how much better his marriage is and things like this, while his wife is sitting next to him and she has that kind of deadpan look that I know too well. And I remember sort of watching the video and thinking, I know exactly how she's feeling. She has that same look that many of the rest of us have. How I realised that my smile was gone was years ago. I had a friend come over and she was talking about past fashion trends, and I said to her, oh yeah, I've got some really cool photos of myself in, in those kinds of clothes and outfits. I'll go and get them and we can flip through them. And so I'm flipping through these photos and I see some images of me with previous boyfriends, and the look on my face, like the smile, you can just tell by the photos that I'm really in love, I'm really happy, there's a whole stack of joy going on. It's just delightful. I felt heartbroken because my photos like that now aren't like that. And then when I saw those photos, I realised I don't feel that way anymore. There's no photos of me like this. Even when I'm smiling, it's what I call the bee sting smile, where I'm kind of going, but it's not in my eyes. So it was interesting to see. The question that was asked is, people who are married to Aspies or autistics, why do they all kind of look tired and unhappy? Part of that is due to the fact that I am getting older and there's all manner of other things going on behind the scenes which are causing my tiredness. But mostly I'm tired because majority of interactions are a battle to some degree. Now, obviously, some days and moments and situations and things like this are going to be way worse than others, but you're constantly worrying about whether you're going to trigger them, set them off, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, not do the right thing, whatever it is. So you're constantly on edge, and that is exhausting. Add to that also, the neurotypical partner is usually the one doing all of the work with regards to feeding the relationship and nourishing it. They're the ones giving the compliments, researching what it's like for them to be Aspie, trying all these different things to make them feel happier within themselves and less sort of meltdowns and things like this. It's constant. A lot of wives say that they feel like they're the parent. I don't feel that way within my own marriage, but I know that I'm doing a whack ton of the effort in order to get to where we are now. It's just something that he isn't thinking about. He's not researching or looking up or any of that. So we have that constant sort of situation where we're the ones putting in the effort and doing the work. So an example of that would be a jar of acts of service for him to do. So that's me thinking that up, getting that jar, writing all those out, putting that in a space where I think he's going to see it, and then encouraging him to do that. So that's a small thing in the scheme of things, but it's still me doing the mental work day in and day out. That does get very, very exhausting. So that's the tiredness. The sadness is the death by 1,000 cuts. The fact that you went into the relationship loving them, and in my case, I was really happy-go-lucky, bubbly. My nickname at work was often Smiley because I was smiling all the time. I was sort of spontaneous and flirty and sexual and all of these things that just slowly got depleted over time by way of his actions or words or lack thereof. You're sad because you're losing part of yourself. There are sort of 3 ways to nourish a person: physically, mentally, and spiritually. Now, there's probably more than that, but let's just keep it basic. He's meeting my physical needs. I've got a roof over my head, clothes on my back, food in the cupboard. I'm secure and safe. But my mental needs are not met. My spiritual needs are certainly not met. I wouldn't even know if he knows about spiritual needs, to be honest. And that's not to say that he's ignorant or anything. It's just not something I think that he would have ever thought about. So mental needs are, if he goes up the street to get some milk, which is him being this awesome provider and good husband and good father, it's a nice thing for him to do. And he comes back and we're all thankful. Oh yes, you've got the milk, yes, you're a legend. But it doesn't nourish who I am. I'm not built up for it, or feeling better about myself for it, or being complimented, or I don't know if you can understand that. But it doesn't feed my mental well-being. So whilst I've got a roof over my head and all the rest of it, mentally my needs are not being met. And after a while, you just start to feel empty, lonely. For example, he has a cousin who is gorgeous. She's in her 20s, she's tall, she's very attractive, she has the beautifulest personality. She's got it all going on. Over the years, I can't even remember how many times he's complimented her to me and told me of her attractiveness and her loveliness, and she could be a model, and etc, etc, etc. He does not say that about me. He didn't in the early days, even when I was all that. Recently I said to him, how would you feel if your cousin met somebody like you? And he kind of thought about that for a while, which was, you know, he's getting a little bit more insightful as the years go by. And he actually said, yeah, that wouldn't be good for her. And I said to him, if you think about how when I was in my 20s and I first met you, I was very much like her. I was slim, pretty, happy, I had this warm personality, and over time I've just become what I refer to as sad sack Sally. I'm kind of sad and subdued all the time. It's like being happy and warm and friendly and bubbly didn't get me anywhere. It doesn't get me anywhere. So it's this kind of part of yourself that you kind of just hide in a box and leave it there, you know, never to be touched again. I guess I'm not really sure exactly the point where I realised that I'd lost myself. It was most likely within the last 5 to 6 years, because it was a gradual thing. It wasn't even something you're kind of thinking about. You're realising that your bubbly personality affronts them in some way, so you just tone it down. You realise that your spontaneity throws them, so you don't do that very often. You realise that your flirtations are not reciprocated, so you don't do them as often. You realise that your compliments aren't reciprocated, and they don't build him up to a point where he feels so good about himself that he is nicer to you and sweeter, and just start gradually over time not being yourself. Yes, it's partly to do with the fact that you need to adapt. You're in a relationship with somebody who their level of comfort and their level of being in the world is stressful and overwhelming to them. And when you are in any kind of relationship, be it neurotypical to neurotypical, there are all these things that I have to take into consideration, and I have to adapt, and I have to work around, and I have to navigate, and at the end of the day, you can't help but change who you are in order to be what they need you to be. And obviously part of the sadness is that they're not reciprocating. They're not being all of the things you need them to be. I do find, and I think that probably a lot of other aspie partners as well may find this, that I am certainly meeting more of his needs than he is mine. It's very unlikely for the aspies to research how to improve. Now, I'm not saying that that's every aspie out there, but in my case, absolutely. He's not researching 5 fabulous ways to do foreplay, for example, or 5 amazing comments that will leave her reeling. You know, things like this. He's not doing stuff like that. That's my point, is that I'll research. I found out that he has Asperger's, and I researched. What is it like for him? What's going on for him? What's driving him? What does he need? What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? And I adapted. And that's just part of being in society. You find out people's likes and dislikes, and you try to do them and not do them. It's just how social interactions work. And in the case of my husband, he's not doing that kind of research. He's hearing me tell him what my needs are, and then just going away and forgetting about them because he has a whole bunch of other stuff on his mind, and that's just all there is to it. And this is the thing, I can't change him. He's thinking of so many things, like, do we have enough food? Is there a bill to pay? Does his car need servicing? Lots and lots and lots of stuff to do and think about. He's not thinking, I need to throw in a compliment today, even though counsellors and things have told him that. He's not thinking about that. He's got other things on his mind, and that is who he is. It's not changeable. I can put little things in a jar and put them beside his mirror and hope that he will see them and do something, but for the most part it's not who he is. I have to just accept that. And I won't lie, when I think about the fact that I'll probably never feel adored, cherished, built up, complimented, I feel sad thinking about how that part of my life is gone. It's never going to be. He's adapted and gotten better in certain ways and certain things. He certainly yells less and things like this. He does throw the odd compliment out there nowadays more than he ever used to. But it's still not enough. You still don't get a sense that you're awesome. You're just plodding along as housemates for the most part. So I think that is why majority of people who are in relationships with neurodiverse have that kind of sadness about them. There's a loss there, and it's a perpetual, unfixable loss. And we have to accept that if we want to be in a relationship with this person. And that's hard. It really is just hard. So yeah, let me know if you are neurotypical. Does this resonate with you? If you're neurodiverse, can you understand what it is that I'm saying? That being said, of course, the neurodiverse will have their own perspective on this. They may feel absolutely overwhelmed trying to fit their neurotypical partner's wants and needs in. Like, it's just mind-boggling to them and their head hurts. Anyway, if that's you, leave a comment below. Let us know how it's going for you. Neurotypical or neurodiverse. Share your thoughts, your views, the bits and pieces that are going on in your world. I love to hear from you and have those little insightful comments and things that open my eyes just that little bit extra. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know. But thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video.